and welcome back to Barker-Stargazer's YouTube channel, a general crafting channel which leans heavily towards the crochet, and today we are doing that. Now, as you saw from the title of this video, this is a work in progress video because I have this. This is my box of scraps. As you can see, they are roughly colour coordinated. I say roughly. Now, I have shown you a scrap blanket before on this channel, and as you can see, it has been finished. Now, towards the end of that blanket being finished, I was unpicking several projects. So they've gone into those balls, and anything else that's come afterwards, any of the makes that I've done previously, all those scraps have gone into these balls as well. So what I'm going to show you today is what I'm working on for each of these colours. Well, most of them anyway. And I'm also going to provide you with the pattern that I'm using to create them. So how this is going to work. I'm going to show you a concept art piece, then I am going to tell you the rough hook size that I've been using and the dimensions. Then I am going to show you some of the making. This is my wave blanket made from all of my blue scraps. The whole blanket is made using a repeating pattern. Okay, so the pattern, I'm just going to talk it through in UK terms as they're the ones I'm most familiar with. I will put both of these patterns up on the screen. So this is a repeating pattern I have followed across this entire blanket. Double crochet, half treble, treble, double treble, treble, half treble, double crochet. Shall I challenge myself now, see if I can actually say it all in US terms? Let's see if I can do it. Right, so single, half double, double, treble, double, half double, single. Yeah, I think I did all right. Right, you see all the messy bits here, these are just where I've tied all the threads together. I do leave them to try and catch as many of them in the work as I can, and then I just go through and chop them off. Right, I'm just going to unwind back to the beginning of this row so you can see how I started. So on to our next round. So our next row, sorry. So for our next row, can you see here where we've got our two double crochet, or single if you're US terms? In that gap there, that's where we want to put our double treble crochet, that's UK terms, or the treble crochet in US terms. So that means we want a treble here, and our first stitch of this row will have to be a half treble. A half trebles are about 2 chain stitches tall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 2 to get to the correct height. And I'm going to start with a half treble. If I didn't drop it, let's try again. Half treble, treble. You see underneath we've got our short stitches, so I'm putting the taller stitches on top. That's just how I've worked it to get the wave pattern going through. So that is all I've been doing across this entire blanket. I'm just going to use up this blue yarn. And then I am going to put up a pattern in UK terminology and a pattern in US terminology. These pieces, even though they're not going to be complete, the pattern is repetitive. So even if you found these patterns online, it's most likely going to have 2 rows tops, and then it's just going to be repeat until the end. Okay guys, so you've had your first example, and let's move on. Project number 2 is this heart cushion. So what I'm doing is creating squares that are then stitched together and stuffed. And what I'm going to do with them is build up a heart. So far I've only got 2 and a half. So I'm going to do the back one of this on camera. And then you can choose to make them yourself, and you could make any sort of pixel image and in any sort of colour. We're starting with a magic circle, slip knot, whatever you want to call it, and we are doing 4 double crochet, that's UK terms, 4 single crochet for America terms, into the ring, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to do 3 double crochet UK terms, so that's 3 single crochet US terms, into each of these stitches, taking our stitch count from 4 to 12. So that's the end of row 2. Now, here's where our repeating pattern starts. So as you can see here, we've got already a little square forming. So in each stitch on the corners, we're going to put 3 double crochet UK terms, 3 single crochet US terms. And in every other stitch, we're just going to put 1 stitch. So for my row 3, I've got 1 stitch. Then I've got a corner, so I'm going to put 3 stitches into the corner. Then my next corner is 2 stitches away. This corner is 2 stitches away. quick maths would say one more stitch after that last corner would bring us to the end of that round, which is right. Now, I'm actually not happy with those holes there, so I'm going to unpick this off camera and come back. But what you're doing is you are simply working single stitches until you reach the corner. Then you put 3 stitches into the corner and you just work that all the way around. So there's no need for me to write everything down for you, because it's pretty easy to tell where your corners are. If you feel that you're going to be a little bit unsure of it starting off, simply use 4 stitch markers for your corners, and whenever you get to a stitch marker, put 3 stitches into the same stitch as a stitch marker. Now my squares, I've taken them out to 12 rows, and that's all I do to keep checking, is I just count out 12 on each side to make sure I'm at 12 rows. So you can take these out to any size you want. I will say though, this square pattern, if you're going to just use it as a flat piece that you're not going to stuff it, the square will start to go wonky the larger it gets. So if that's something that would bother you, what I would do after each row is I would chain 1 and change your direction. Right, so I've got my 2 squares here, and I'm now just going to join them up, but I'm only going to join them up along 3 sides. So all I'm doing to join them is, so I've put them wrong sides together, and I'm working a double crochet, UK terms, single crochet, US terms. I'm working it through both corresponding stitches on both squares. So there's my 3 sides done, so I'm going to stuff this now. Now I'm just going to check on my image where I am and where this is going to go. Now I'm going to close this end the same way I've closed these. However, I'm actually going to join it to this square as I go, and then I will have here, here and here done of the hearts. But I figure I'm going to use all of my red yarn to make a load of these cushions, and I can just imagine my kids doing silly games in the future and going, no, I only have 1 heart left. When you've closed up your square, basically you've got an extra row of stitches on the edge here, so the holes are visible. So when you're joining your squares together, you can go through your 2 flat squares, and then you can go through the joining row of another square and completely double crochet like that. Right, so as you can see, this one does look smaller, but here's a confession, is that I have been leaning on these 2, and that's why they've squished down and spread out, so that will happen to this one as well. Right, let's snip that off. And how long did it take me to do this? Now it just took me over an hour to do one of these squares, so I tend to work on these larger projects when I'm waiting for my kids to do clubs or something like that. Okay, what colour are we going to pick out next? Alright, onto the grey ball, which is also mixed with the white ball, because switched up to a 6mm hook, and this is going to be, zoom out, a gas from Minecraft as a wall hanging. Now, yeah, you're thinking, yeah, that's not going to be really all that long to make, but it's part of a much larger idea for my son, because his new bedroom, he'd like it to be all Minecraft themed. The walls are currently white, so I've got no problem doing him like grass along the base and clouds in the sky and stuff like that. But then I thought I'll do some crochet hangings of the mobs from Minecraft. So this is the gas, and what I've been doing, I started off with a chain of 73, and I've just been working backwards and forwards. What I've been doing is I've been randomly shifting if I'm working in both the loops or if I've been working in the back loops only, so I can get a more textured feel for it. So I'm going to have to get some black yarn out now from the black scrap ball, and I will be adding the eyes in. I think I need to do 2 rows for the eyes because they are quite small, and then I will continue down to the mouth. Okay, there we go. So that takes us to row 26. So I'm going to go back to just working in grey and the white now, and I'm just going to keep randomly alternating between doing the stitches that you've just seen or doing that stitch just in the back loops only. So I need a sort of like a beaded curtain for my utility room. So I thought I would use the idea of a wind spinner to cover the entire door. For the wind spinners themselves, I chained 240, and in each of those 240 chains I put 3 half trebles. That's 3 half doubles if you're US terms. And then I broke the yarn at the bottom and simply tied them in place on the border. My intention is to fill each of the chain gaps across to create a lovely full door hanging. Alright, so here we are, the work in progresses, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 projects. As these get finished, I'll probably just go up on shorts, both here and on TikTok, and probably on a few of my other social medias, you know, the 10,000 social medias I'm on across the entire of the internet. And apart from that, I will see you guys next video. Bye!